This episode of IGN Conversations is brought to you by Gran Turismo 6, available December 6th.
Hey everybody, Ryan McCaffrey with IGN, joined by the boss man himself, Steve Butts.
Hello, Ryan.
Fellow veteran PC gamer of the 90s, you and I both were on there on our keyboards and mice, playing games like Rainbow Six, just not without the six.
Right.
Well, actually, I should just say like Rainbow Six, not six, because this would be Rainbow Six Six.
Right.
If it ever comes out, which we're not sure it is, except Steve, apparently it does still exist.
Maybe it does, yeah. I mean, this game was announced, what, 2 years ago, kind of unwillingly by Ubisoft. It got leaked out.
Well, they even put out a Target render trailer thing that was all weird, and your wife gets kidnapped in front of your face while you're on your iPad.
Right.
It's very strange.
But then we heard, hey, it's maybe not coming out. Then, yeah, it is coming out, but it's going to be on next gen. So we were talking with Ubisoft President Laurent de Talk today, and he says, we had a core team, they had a good vision, they got started, and then the game wasn't working, so they had to start again. So it sounds like this project is still on the rails, but I don't know where it is.
It's funny, Steve. I mean, there's... for as much as or as many people complain about some franchises being milked to death, whether it's a Call of Duty or what are some of these annual releases, Ubisoft has, I think, wronged gamers in the complete opposite way, where these fantastic brands like Ghost Recon, like up till recently Splinter Cell, and certainly currently Rainbow Six, were these phenomenal brands. They were huge in the Xbox, original Xbox PS2 generation. Rainbow Six 3 was the first, the biggest game on Xbox Live until Halo 2 came along.
Yeah, the co-op multiplayer shooter field, they love that game.
Yeah, and then they came out on 360 with Rainbow Six Vegas, which was a great sort of modern update to Rainbow Six while still keeping it Rainbow Six-y, and they did a Vegas 2, and then gone.
Yeah.
Just poof. And then they completely allowed Call of Duty and everybody else to come in and steal all their market share. Now they're going to have to come in and start from scratch if they ever get a game out. And it's, I feel like they should just scrap, start over, and reboot. Just Rainbow Six. No Patriots, no Six. Let's just start from scratch here. If they even have a good idea for it, which it sounds like it's not so sure that they do.
Well, that may be going on at the studio, at least internally, with regard to the concept, because he says, a lot of the lead folks on the project were fired fairly
very
recently,
publicly,
right? Very publicly, and it was sort of embarrassing. People thought, I don't know where this project is. But the president says Rainbow had to be remade. Now they're going to have the benefit of new consoles. This is my favorite part. If and when it comes out. It's one of those examples where you try, it doesn't work, and you try again. And if it doesn't work, we're just not going to bring it to you. But he says in this message to IGN, it could not be called Patriots at all. He says, could it become a shooter with another name in the end? Because the team doesn't want to do counter-terrorist guys? Say they want it to be in a mercenary setting. That's possible.
Interesting.
So I'm kind of ambivalent about that. Because I loved Rainbow Six. And I loved Ghost Recon, but those are very different games. It sounds like he's suggesting maybe this new game will become more like Ghost Recon, which is not what I want. I already have Ghost Recon and I love it, but I want this counterterrorism game as well.
I agree, and to be fair to Ubisoft, I mean, for the grief I just gave them, I actually also I applaud them as well, because they're not afraid to just say, you know what, this isn't quite working how we want. Let's take a step back, or even flush it all away and start from scratch. Whereas a lot of publishers would go, this isn't quite working how we want, but we've already invested a lot in this. Just patch it up and ship it, and we'll fix it with the next one. So, but it is just fascinating, the whole saga now. I feel like there's a book to be, ironically, a game based on a book.
Sure.
There is a book to be written about the Rainbow Six video game or the franchise and what the heck has gone wrong with it. But
quite likely. I mean, what I love about it is it was, back in the day there were no health kits in the game. There was no regenerating health. It was really hard, right? And game design has kind of changed a lot in the last 13 or 14 years, and I think the game is going to have to adapt to it. But I hope we get a version of it that is still true to what I loved about the original Rainbow Six, which is that it was really tense, but there wasn't a lot of action in it.
And quickly, the original Rainbow Six was renowned for the pre-mission planning, where you would literally sketch out every move you were going to make, and then when you'd get to a corner and be like, okay, go, and issue the next command. The multiplayer, I got to see Patriots at one point in time, and the multiplayer was actually going to incorporate that in a like the lobby, essentially. You were going to plan out what your team was going to do. So they were thinking about that, and I hope if this game ever comes out that some of that original spirit lives on. So for more on Rainbow Six Patriots, or whatever the heck it ends up being called, you are already in the right place here on IGN.